Hey, welcome to part 2 of Pounds Equal Pain. Pounds equal pain. Thank you for being here, and I'm going to continue on with what we talked about last week. The road from being self-employed, the purgatory, the thrashing around, and the confusion, and the momentary joys and victories are no joke. But being able to get to your dream, which is to be able to have a scalable business, a B branded type of a business, is very much like climbing Kilimanjaro. Is very much of an adventure. That's what we talked about last time. And I said last time, if you recall, is that it requires 4 things. It requires, number one, the right gear to get up there. If you don't have the right gear, your feet will blister. You'll freeze to death. Okay. If you don't have, the second thing is preparation. If you go there without training and working out and hiking, it'll spank you. You just won't make it, and it'll be miserable. Number 3 is that you got to be mentally prepared, because otherwise the anxiety of going to altitude will make the altitude issue even worse. It'll increase your heart rate. It'll deplete your oxygen. Not good. And finally, you got to have a good guide. Just a guide you pick up off the internet that doesn't even speak your language, that tries to take you up there alone, you'll never get there. And we saw it happen in over 10 summits. I've seen it happen over and over again. However, we do it very successfully. And so the analogy here is, how does that apply to your business? And the business is, hold on a second. Let me get some of the comments up here. So if you have comments, yes, greetings. Greetings from India. You're up early, Sivaram. So, and if you have questions, just ask the questions right now. But what's the similarity? Well, the similarity of climbing, gaining the apex or the summit of whatever it is you're trying to do, some of the rules are the same. And we talked last time is you got to get, if you're going to shed weight, there's an expression on the mountain that says pounds equal pain. In other words, the more pounds you're carrying on your back, the more painful, more difficult it is. I gave you some examples. Now let me give you some statistics. Hey, Morocco. So here's the statistics. For every 3 pounds you carry on your back, increases your work effort, your workload by 5%. So think about this for a second. So every 5 pounds on your back increases your workload by 5%. If you're carrying 10 pounds on your back, which is quite a bit, 10, 15 pounds, then you've increased your workload. If you say 15 pounds, that's 5. You increase it your workload 25%. You've increased how hard you got to work by 25%. Okay. Now, how does that apply to us? Because there's another statistic I want to bring in here. And that's this. As you make the transition from your business to a B quadrant, we say at Rich Dad, or a scalable, branded business that works without you trading your time for money and you being a slave to it, what happens is, what holds you back is not doing it. What holds you back is the mental baggage that you're carrying. And what happens is it doesn't get, we talked about that, like I got to do it myself. I haven't earned the right. I don't have enough money to hire staff. All that stuff we talked about last time. These beliefs, you got to shed them. But here's the other challenge, is that what happens as you go up in altitude, my guide told me this. I asked him the other day, for every 3,000 feet you go in elevation, you move into a new barometric region. In other words, the barometric pressure as you go to altitude gets less and less and less. Now at sea level, we're designed as human beings to operate at sea level. We need a certain amount of pressure ambient pressure around our bodies to let our blood flow, circulate, to breathe, to have oxygen and carbon dioxide do their exchange at blood levels. All these things require a certain amount of pressure on the body. Okay. As you go up, that pressure begins to lift. Every 3,000 feet in elevation, you move into a new region. So not only does that work effort increase on your back, it multiplies because of the decrease of barometric pressure. Okay, yeah, this is definitely perturbation. But see, most people don't, because you can't see it, it kind of sneaks up on you. That's why all of a sudden people are sick. And what's going on with me? I'm feeling nauseous. I'm lightheaded. Whatever. Okay. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because this is very exactly what happens in business. You start moving and trying to bring in staff, trying to leverage yourself, getting a legal team, putting a whole team together. And what happens is these little weights that you were able to deal with as a self-employed level, when you were able to deal with I could deal with the extra 5% or the extra 10% because I just worked my way through it. But as you go to the next level, higher altitude, it's no longer 10%. That baby just multiplied because you got reduced barometric pressure, and it multiplies by 2 or 3, 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 10% each time. But you can't see it and you don't feel it until the effects of oxygen or lack of oxygen in your bloodstream happen. This happens all the time. You're starting to build a team and you sabotage it. Okay. Somebody's trying to take an initiative, be a little bit creative. It's not quite what you wanted. They didn't ask your permission first, and you haul off because you're frustrated. And why doesn't anybody listen to me? Why can't you just do as you're told? And you become basically a self-employed crazy person that's trying to run a business that you will not let it run because you've now become the liability. And as you go higher and higher on the mountain, you become crazier and crazier. In other words, one of the things that we know is people's mood levels change as you go higher with reduced oxygen and reduced barometric pressure. Mood levels, people go from very high to very low. Typically, people get a little bit bitchy as they get higher altitude. I've seen marriages go to the brink of disaster as we got to like 15, 16,000 feet. It was okay. It was manageable at sea level because they learned how to cope with it. But at altitude, it starts getting worse. So, yeah, the little voice thank you, Michael Dell. The little voice gets louder the higher you go. But now I know why, Michael. Remember, I talked to Kevin. Michael was our weatherman, our mountain leadership weatherman all the way up and down the mountain with a 95% probability that his weather report would be wrong. And it was a lot of fun. But what he said, Michael, is that every 3,000 feet is another level decrease of barometric pressure. So whatever weight you're carrying, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, gets worse as you go to altitude. That's the point. There's a science behind it, okay? Same in business. You decide, Michael Odell, I know that you're starting your new business, and congratulations. We talked about that. And so what's going to happen as you get a little higher, as you begin to brand a little bit more, leverage yourself a little bit more, what's going to happen if you don't let go of the old thoughts of doing it on your own, working your ass off, and being the man, the guy that makes it all happen, it will pay its price. It will become worse and worse, and you won't understand it because it's just the way your brain works at that time. So again, perturbation, yes. Hamid from Morocco, thank you. Little voice gets louder the higher you go. Thanks, you guys. So, and it does, because because as you go higher in altitude, think of it physically, you don't have the pressure that's allowing your body to do its normal functions. The pressure releases. Now you're in an unknown level, and your body has to work harder to try to compensate to do its normal functions. You have to work harder to compensate in order to run a bigger business because you were used to dealing with the pressure of doing it all by yourself at a low altitude. And while you were miserable maybe doing it, you were comfortable with it because it's something you know. And as it lifts, what would happen if you had nothing to do for 4 hours during a day because your team was doing everything else? You might do something stupid like many owners do, like go on and create drama for your team or do something destructive or go off on a flyer that doesn't help support your team. You've got to learn as you grow to be able to manage the altitude. And the altitude might mean some things get removed from you. It might mean that you have higher responsibilities to see things other people don't see. I'm going to say this is one of the big challenges that I've found in going from S to B is not the issue of working harder or not working harder, because I grew up on a dairy farm. I watched my dad slave away from 3:30 in the morning till 10:30 at night, 7 days a week. So I'm not opposed to hard work. but the type of work you do has to change. Education has to change. You have to continue to study. If you didn't know that much about finances, you better learn more about finances. If you didn't know that much about how your little voice works, you need to learn more about little voice. And in the trade that you're working in, you now move from a worker to an owner to a thought leader to a sage. What's that mean? You're expected to know more about your business than anybody else. If you're going to be a great teacher or leader, I always say that the best way to be the best teacher, you got to be the best student of your craft, of whatever it is. So you see guys like Rich Dad Advisor, like Ken McElroy. Ken McElroy has spent his life in real estate management, property management, development, and finance, right? Now he's all over social media. So go check him out at kenmcelroy.com. But go check him out. But I know that for a fact that he's an even deeper student studying macroeconomic theory, studying how interest rates affect real estate, things that he maybe had casual ideas about, but now he's studying even more because you get looked to as a leader. If you're going to stand up and lead a business, you have to assume that role as a business. You have to continue to learn more about what you're doing than the next guy. So because maybe you're not working as hard, but you're studying even harder. That's my experience. So again, with altitude, so what's the question? So how do we deal with this? All right, so personal development. Yeah, personal development, that's right. But I think that the way you deal with it is to understand that life as you grow is not the same as it was when you started. Okay? There'll be less pressure to do some things, more pressure to do other things. And as we go through, if you want to learn more about what it's like for you and your particular business or what you're doing, you can stay tuned because every week I'll be talking more and more about this. Or you go to blairsinger.com/pain and just sit down with one of my guides and one of my team members, and we'll talk about what's going on for you and what the next steps would be for you in terms of what to expect and what to be involved with. Again, if you're a teacher, it's going to be a little bit different. If you're a trainer, a teacher, a coach, it'll be a little bit different than if you're running a finance company or if you're selling investments or if you're running a manufacturing operation, for example. So it's different for everybody. But the purpose of this call today was to let you know that as you grow, as you go higher, anything that you're carrying that you were able to manage with at lower altitude will become a hindrance and will become painful at a higher altitude. And that's mostly little voice stuff. That's mostly your beliefs about business, your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about how the world should work, about teams, about money, finance. For example, if you're saying, well, debt is bad and I don't ever want to be in debt. And as you're growing a bigger company, you may need to borrow money to grow it, and that's a good thing. It'll allow you to grow. But if you're debt averse, that belief that can work when you were working on your own won't work for you because you use debt and taxes to make yourself rich. That's a rich dad lesson. Okay, the rich don't work for money, and you don't. And so that's another belief that you might have to get rid of, which is that I got to work harder to make more money. No, you don't. You don't work for money. First of all, what you work for is to build an asset. And an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. An asset could be the business itself. It could be intellectual property. It could be a piece of property. It could be a product or an artifact that generates its own cash flow. But that's a different perspective than you working hard. So that's an example of some of the weight that you carry that you don't realize are weight until you go to that next barometric pressure zone, where now that 5% increase in workload that you were carrying around now becomes 10%, and then it becomes 20%, and then it becomes 30 or 40% the higher you go. And you don't even know it's happening because it's something that's so much a part of you. It's not like it's something that's actually in your backpack because you're not carrying a backpack. Your backpack is up here. Okay? So that's the deal. And again, if you want some help, go to blairsinger.com/pain. We'll sit down and talk about it. And if you want to get there quicker, you want to get to the summit quicker, then give us a call and we'll sit down and talk about it a little bit. Other than that, stay tuned, tell your friends, show up next week, And we're going to go to part 3 of this thing of how do you get yourself from being self-employed or employed into your own business and beyond to a scalable business that'll generate your dream, which is passive income, a legacy, where you being able to do what you want to do and making a difference to millions of people around the world. Okay. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you. Okay. And if there's any final questions, I'll take them. You're welcome for this information. Tajana, thank you. Love your work. You inspired me. Well, you inspired me too. Remember that I just did a webinar for a group in Mexico, just to re-emphasize for those of you that haven't heard it before, that we're in the middle of a big revolution right now. It's the education revolution. Education revolution meaning that the education has failed. It's failed miserably. I mean, now we've got the Department of Justice going against, parents, and parents going against, the school boards, and school boards wondering what to do. And I'm not saying who's right or wrong, but it's crazy out there. But we're in a revolution of education right now. And the revolution is part of your education for you and your kids comes from you. Comes at home. You do it at home, cash flow games, the stuff you want to learn the most on video. I think that if you wrote down the 5 things you want to learn the most, calculus isn't going to be one of them. Wealth might be one of them. Business might be one of them. Good relationships might be another one. Seek the best. It's my lesson today I'm sharing with you. Seek the best that you can find. And no complaints about time and money, because now you can get for pennies because of technology and because it's available 24/7. You can get it any time of day for pennies on the dollar. You go to blairsinger.com, get a ton of this stuff for almost nothing, and learn what you need to learn, and then secondarily teach it to other people. That's the revolution. You've got, as Naz says, you've got billions of dollars sitting in your head, billions of dollars, and education will not look the same going into the future. We're in the middle of that revolution. It's not tomorrow. It's already happening. We're consuming, what I say, a billion hours of YouTube video a day as a population, a billion. And there's like 100 hours or 500 hours, of 500 hours of YouTube video being posted every hour or every minute or something crazy like that. So the amount of information is available. Don't ever use time or money as an excuse. You can't do that anymore. Find the best, get trained by the best. Like I said, you need the best guys to go out killing. Get trained by the best, and then teach what you learn to other people. You don't have to be the best at it yet, but teach what you're learning. That's what I did in the very, very beginning. You do that, we all move to a whole new level of lifestyle for all of us, okay? Don't wait for that system to fix itself. You know how to fix it. Take care of your families. Take care of yourself. Be part of the revolution. And if you're smart, learn how to make a lot of money doing it. All right, you guys, thank you for this week. Have a great day, a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Be amazing.